Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by The Best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off. If you've ever wondered, if you ever had a clue what would happen if Batman, the Avengers, the X-Men fought the 47 Ronin, you will have great hitting, power strikes, and speed. This event will be known as the North Texas Stick Fighting Championships. It's open to all martial artists. This is where legends are formed, where they're forged, where they are founded. Sign up now. Call the number 956-401-4868 and look up the website at www.savate.biz. So remember, this is for serious martial artists. If you're not serious, sit back and whisper about the event. If not, we'll see you there.
Catching Gloves Off, and today we got a great guest, Rob Gray, one of the most informed individuals out in social media. How we doing, bro?
I'm good. Very good.
Good?
Yep.
How was your trip down here from Austin?
Good, man. It wasn't that bad. Usually the traffic is kind of crazy in San Antonio, but it wasn't. On a Saturday, it wasn't that bad. So, yeah, it was good.
And we have our condolences from our side because you came down on that. And
Thank you, yeah.
we're kind of going to start off in prayers to the families, the cities of
Right.
both Daytona and
Right. Absolutely.
El Paso.
Yep.
And our thoughts and our hearts go out with you all.
Right. Absolutely.
On another note, how did you get involved? Why did the sensation of Rob
Right.
on the internet going on?
I don't know about sensation, but I definitely know that I have a lot of people listening, and I think it has to do with during the 2016 election. I started trying to get involved a little bit, just started like learning a little bit more about how elections work as far as on the national level. And so I started talking to a couple friends of mine, and one of my friends who lives in Philadelphia emailed me a video. This is kind of how it all started. He emailed me a video and he was like, hey, I have a video of Hillary's campaign headquarters getting raided, and it's not on the news yet, it hasn't hit. And I was like, okay, I was like, send it to me, I'll post it. I posted it, and within like a day it had like 50,000 views and just went crazy, and I think it's up to 1 million now. But during that time, I started to see people adding me and asking me, where did you get the video, that kind of stuff. But I also started getting attacked big time. That never happened before, and I was very, normal, not controversial. And the attacks started coming, but they were like character attacks. It wasn't about you're wrong, you have wrong data. It was like, I'm gonna come kill you, I'm gonna come get you, take this off. And I was like, what? Like, that's just weird. Then a cop from Philadelphia actually messaged me and was like, I need to talk to you, you need to call me right now. And I was like, he's like, I'm a police officer. And I was like, okay. Called him up. And he was like, we saw that there were some threats on your page to like one of our officers. I was like, no, there's not. Show it to me. And he was like, well, I just want to let you know if you do, like, it was legit, like, basically just trying to get the video down. I didn't take it down, just kept it up. In fact, it's still up there actually. But basically, that's the beginning of, you know, how I started getting a following, which with that one video. Then I started posting my thoughts, which I never did before. I would always just kind of repost stuff. I started posting my thoughts as far as like what I think or what I think about this certain thing or whatever, and it just kind of started getting a following. People started realizing like, you can say the truth on here, you know, and you won't get, you know, in trouble. So I started doing that, and I started to see that there were certain topics I couldn't talk about, which got me more interested in the whole, like, deep state. Why am I not allowed to speak about this? Yeah.
What topics would you say were those?
Easily, I can tell you right now, Obama, you can't say anything about Obama. Islam, you can't say anything about Islam. And anything that has to do with race, but white people, like, in other words, like, why are white people so bad? That's like, they'll kill you for that. Obama, I posted that he lives next to a mosque in DC because it's the truth. They banned me for that. I posted that instead of talking about like Christians and how back in the day the Crusades, why don't you talk about today and how the Muslims are killing people today? Banned. So there were certain and I kept doing it. I would keep posting the same stuff, kind of, and they banned me. So then I started thinking, well, who's pushing the string? Why are those topics off limits? And so that kind of got me into the whole, you know, communism and how they've never really gone anywhere. They just kind of like took over institutions and sat and waited. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just kind of, I got in touch with JTF MAGA. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a whistleblower group. So they're a bunch of whistleblowers who work for the deep state and are going to basically whistleblow on what was going on. They're supposedly recordings of McCabe. That's all I heard. I think they're gonna be releasing them soon. That's the first. That's gonna be an exclusive. Nobody else knows that. But those guys, these whistleblowers, started sending me info, having me write papers for certain congressmen and stuff, just like using the logic that I'm already using on Facebook, but for actual memos and white papers and stuff. So I started doing that for them. Josh Macias, who's actually on my friends list, he's the main, you know, JTF guy. But we work with like William Binney, the dude from the NSA or ex-NSA guy. Who else? There's a couple other dudes that are, you know, pretty big names in there. But yeah, I mean, I started to get interested in just why is it that there's a certain narrative being pushed? Why? Well, what's the end goal? You know?
And talking about that narrative,
right,
is not only the media; it's everywhere. You know,
right.
It's radio, it's TV, it's in shows, and so on and so forth.
Right.
How big is this?
Without like actually breaking down each, you know, place or whatever, I would probably say it's as big as Nazism was in the Nazi days, where everybody had either you knew somebody or you knew somebody connected to a Nazi. Same thing, and it really feels like Nazism as well because Nazis wanted to erase a race, supposedly, right?
Correct.
Well, here they're trying to erase an ideology of freedom, you know, surrendering your guns, all that stuff. That they want to just take your guns, and everybody thinks it's like this conspiracy theory, right? Oh, they want to take your gun. Well, it doesn't matter. Like you were telling me earlier, we talked about it before we started. Let's say it was a guy's face, and then they changed it into another guy. And I'm getting emails like, "Hey, this wasn't the shooter. That's the shooter." And that was it. And then it gets so jumbled up, right? But then you wonder, but what's the end of it? Like, what's the end result of all this stuff? They want to take the gun. That's it.
Definitely, you can see it. You can see it, and with every one of the tragedies that we've had,
right.
Every mass shooting as they're producing it. It depends on who it is.
Right.
If it was truly a white supremacist, he would have been caught. His name would have been out right away. Well, it doesn't take hours. It's done.
Yeah, like what's the FBI doing?
Right.
If
that's a key point.
Right.
And there's several, we've gone through so many of them, that's now a lot of people are waking up and saying, you know what, these false flags are too consistent.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You know, usually there's a training center somewhere where they did a training at a school, and all of a sudden 2 weeks later the school or another school in that area happens. Same thing. There's always, you know, when you have shootings, and you have shootings all over the place in the United States. I mean, Chicago has so many of them. The FBI is not called, especially FBI SWAT.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the FBI SWAT is called, like in Parkland High School, it's a red flag.
Right.
Las Vegas, red flag. Red flag.
Yeah.
Understand? It's not a random shooting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that correlates with that. What do you think about Antifa? You living in Central Texas?
Yeah. I feel like they're just the foot soldiers of the media and the left. That's basically who they are. They're the military wing of the Democrats, essentially. That's who Antifa is. They might say they're not. They might say they're whatever, but that's who they are. I mean, and I think that the police need to have a more hands-on approach with them. Because as a kid, I used to riot. I mean, I was one of those crazy kids, you know, and I would go, cops didn't take shit. They would throw you down on the floor, you know, they didn't care. Nowadays, you see them and they're treating them with kid gloves. I mean, you need to be a lot stronger on those people. They're looking for, they want to bring down the entire system. That's what Antifa's about. They just want to bring it all down so that they can put theirs in place. The problem with that is it's already been done a bunch of times. In the Soviet Union, we've got, even in Germany, it started really in Germany, right? Where you have this one group of brown shirts that would go around intimidating others to not vote for the opposition party. Well, that's what's happening now. Now, you can call them whatever you want. Imagine Antifas are, you know, antlers. Those are the antlers. Those are the antler dudes. Right? It doesn't matter. Look at what they're doing. Not their name. Look at what they're doing. They're doing the exact same thing the Nazis were doing. That's kind of how I see Antifa. I feel that they're the bigger domestic terror, you know, threat than anybody white nationalist. I mean, I've never in my life met a white nationalist, man. I swear to you, I've never met one. And if I had, if I've seen them around, they're usually dorks and like real stupid. Like they're not these like guys you're gonna be scared of with, like, you know. Neither are Antifa. They're all little kids. But I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things, the media wants us scared. Remember before it was the red, then code red, code yellow. Remember that thing we had after 9/11? They just want you scared. It never changed. They never went down to green or like everything's cool. They never did that. It was always at a yellow or always at a red. They want us like this all the time. Because that's how it's way easier to control somebody who's freaked out than it is for somebody that's actually thinking straight. That's how I see it. That's how I see Antifa. I just see Antifa as the militant wing of the Democrat Party. And they could cause a lot of damage. I mean, there are a bunch of people. It's usually like druggies, drug dealers, not the dealers, but the actual people that are doing the drugs, like people that live in Skid Row. They go on it. They'll be on Antifa all day because if they get arrested, they're doing better than they are right now outside of the.
You're absolutely. You know, it's kind of funny because we have friends in common, and you know they go out and they always say, you know, let's go out to this rally.
Yeah.
And I go, it's fine. You know, I believe in freedom of speech.
Sure.
I believe in everybody has peaceful assembly. But once you start going and beating up an old lady because she has an American flag or a veteran, you know, that's in his wheelchair waving a flag, and all of a sudden you go and beat them up, totally two different things.
There need to be consequences or
Yeah,
something.
understand? And it's happening so much.
Right.
And people are getting tired of that.
Right.
If you've ever been in a fight, you understand that when you walk in there, you can sense it. You can sense the feeling in the air.
The
You can sense it.
negativity.
You can sense it. It's going to happen. Right now, the United States is in that sense.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time when this thing is going to blow.
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to be a civil war or anything like that, but is there going to be civil unrest? Yes. And it's being brought on. You and I talked back when Bernie lost, and we were talking on the phone, and we saw the first riot on Hillary's.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I said, watch this group. They didn't mention their name.
No.
And we kept on watching it little by little. That group became Antifa.
You know, Antifa started as Black Bloc, right? So they started in Europe as Black Bloc. A lot of people don't know that. So if you really want to look at where they came from origins-wise, look at the Black Bloc in Europe. That's basically who they are. I don't know if they have the same funding. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. A lot of these guys, Bill Ayers and all those guys from back in the 60s and 70s that were just, they firebombed places. I mean, they were doing real terrorist stuff. Those same guys, they didn't go to jail. They became professors and heads of departments and this. So what's happening is they're indoctrinating the youth.
Of course. Of course.
I personally would rather have, and again, I'll fight for Antifa to tell me off. I don't care. I'll say, dude, freedom of speech. Tell me all you want. Tell me I'm racist. Whatever. But as soon as you start to get violent, that's when they need to have consequences. And the cops are just afraid of them, or the cops are on their side.
Yeah, you might, when you look at the whole demographics of the whole thing, and when I read a message that the lieutenant governor of Texas says, Antifa, you stay out of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Then that means yesterday dealing directly to the shooting that happened.
Right.
So you have to understand that Antifa is connected in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Because in some of their social media, they're claiming to be Antifa. They're claiming to be that side. So
here's what I told my friends whenever they were messaging me and telling me, hey, can you take a look? Can you Photoshop, see if there's a thing to filter? I always said, look, why are you getting wrapped up over here when you need to be looking over here? They want people to look at those pictures. They want people to say, oh yeah, it might be another guy. It might be, but the end result's the same. It doesn't matter. Why are you wasting your time? The end result's the same. They want your guns. You need to fight that. You don't need to fight if it was MK Ultra or it was some random dude off the street and then they got another guy. If there was 4 shooters, who cares if there were 4 shooters? At this point, it doesn't matter because the end result's the same. What's the end result? The media is going after your guns. They're blaming it on Trump, which is crazy. They're blaming it on Trump. They're saying they're white nationalists. They're saying that, which is okay. That's cool. Do you remember when Orlando happened?
Sure.
Do you remember how fast Obama and Loretta Lynch were scared that they didn't want to have Allah in the recording, so they took it out? Remember all that? They were tripping over themselves to try to save face for Muslims. Why is it that they do that for the Muslim community but not for the white community?
No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We can go in there. We can talk all day about that because we've talked to some sources inside the FBI, and a lot of Allah, Muslim, a bunch of those names. When a crime happens, those were automatically removed.
Right, by Obama.
They had to, by Obama.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Well, not only that, my wife, who was a teacher for 15 years, and then she became a counselor, but she told me that when Obama became president, they started having new rules set for schools. When the hell does a president ever put rules on elementary schools in small cities? Well, the rule was, since it came federal guidelines, right? One of the rules was that if they were Mexican or black kids, you give them a chance. You don't get mad at them. You don't put them in timeout. You don't do what you do if they're minorities. That was in the books. So from the time he got into president until he left, they were doing that. Well, guess what happened? Crime went up in the schools. The teachers were quitting. It was just really bad because they had no discipline for. And there's videos of, you can see them dancing on desks and just going crazy, and nobody tells them anything. If I would have done that in 8th grade, dude, holy shit! I got locked in a closet for like yelling across a room I'll get kicked out of my class like once a week, straight up. I got locked in class. These are the things that happened to me, and I wasn't even really that bad. These kids, I'm just glad I wasn't in school whenever that was happening, man.
One of the major things that came when I woke up in teaching the martial arts.
Right.
Was the knockout game. Remember the knockout game?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Remember the knockout game? And the things that came out of the administration was they were oppressed. They're very much urban kids that do not have.
Isn't that more racist?
Understand what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute. This is a teenager that's 15 years old, that's 6'2", beating up an old lady because she came out of the grocery store.
But he's black.
So
that's more racist, I feel, because you're basically, what Obama was saying is, we aren't equal. Black people need to be treated with baby gloves, with kid gloves. You can't treat them the way you would treat a regular person because they're too fragile and you might, what the fuck? That's more racist than just saying, yeah, dude, you're black, whatever, go. I've been on jobs in construction even. nobody's going and saying, that guy's black, we can't have him. Nobody cares, man. They just want you to work. So, but if you go back and look again at what the Nazis did, they separated by class, by race, by why? To keep people in control. And that's exactly what Obama did. It's almost insane. It feels insane to compare Obama to Hitler because everybody does it with Trump. But if you go back and do the studying, the only one that acted anything close to even like Hitler and like a dictator was Obama. I mean, come on. I mean, it's very obvious. And that has to do with the takeover of the media. That was a huge deal for Hitler because he didn't want the Jews running media. Well, Obama got all his cabinet, the husbands and wives of NBC execs, ABC execs, and I thought that was a meme and it was a lie. I was like, yeah, whatever. Because, you know, you see them and you're like, nah, I'm not going to. I looked into it and I was like, holy shit. Ben Rhodes, his wife is the head of ABC. What's her name? Susan Rice, her husband's the head of NBC. Like, come on, man. And then you wonder why they're going after Trump. Well, I mean, it's all one big club and he wasn't in it. That's the whole point. That's the reason that they're fighting him so hard. And today, if I meet somebody and they even mention Russia, I already know their IQ's probably room temperature, if less, if not less. I mean, that's how much it's just become a meme with Russia, you know?
No, you're correct. And the problem that we have is that the Mueller report. When the Mueller report came of age, and he went back in there, and he looked like somebody that was heavily sedated, and they pulled him out of an old folks home, and you're trying to tell him.
Well, he didn't do the report.
Where are we going? And you're like, oh,
did you see my posts from
Sure.
years? Okay. I was telling people for about a year and a half that he was not running that fucking whole operation. I had people telling me that were very close to that. I can't say how close, but very close to that report, telling me he wasn't even there half the time. That it was Andy Weissman running the whole fucking thing and hiring and doing all that. So I was yelling this from the roof and nobody was listening. They were just like, okay, whatever.
No, you know, we came out with two things. Number one, he didn't write it. And right after that, you had the Epstein pedophile.
Right.
And he gets arrested.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I told everybody, within 2 weeks, look for a shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pray to God that it's still the summer, or else you're gonna have a shooting at the house, but you're gonna have a mass shooting somewhere.
Right.
And where do we have it? California.
Yeah. 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row. And then guess what? 2 in one day. In Texas and in Daytona,
Right,
which is absolutely, that's not random whatsoever.
Right. No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like they're ramping up the whole take away the guns thing, and I feel like it has to do with globalists. I mean, I know that's just a really overused word, but people that think they're fighting the globalists on the left are actually doing their bidding, and they don't know it. That's how bad it is. Every time you see a protest to take Trump out of office, and it's all lefties that think that they're doing something for the good of the nation, in reality, you're trying to make the nation into a third world country. And that's kind of why I look at them and I'm like, you don't really, it's like somebody that eats McDonald's every day going and protesting outside of McDonald's because they put grease or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, then don't eat it, man. Don't do your research and see what's really going on. But same thing with the Russiagate. Same thing with the, what was it before that? Oh, sexual misconduct with Trump. So they always bring these things out. And if you notice, the communist, I guess, rule book talks about how you need to discredit your opponent personally. Like, that's one of their big rules, is when you're debating with somebody, instead of going after them with facts because they know they'll lose, they go after them personally. And notice, they don't go against Trump saying, your economics is wrong, this is why it's right. They don't do that. They don't do that. And they don't say, you're racist because of this. And they give him a list of things. Because I heard the Hispanics comment. It has nothing to do with racism. And I heard that Hispanic comment. Now, I'm Hispanic. And I was like, yo, that's true though. Like, I mean, I was in Border Patrol. I saw people that were coming in that were rapists and murderers and drug dealers, and they kept coming back. It just, like a revolving door, just going back and forth. So the times that I've been like told that I'm wrong, I look into it. I never say I'm always right. That's one thing that I will always, but the more that I look into things, the more I see that if you're parroting what the media tells you or what the media is trying to say, if that message is also your message, you're basically doing the bidding of corporate America. And you're not like some rebel. You're not. You're doing the exact thing that Anderson Cooper's doing, and if you're repeating them and saying like impeach or whatever it is, and you think you're doing, good for the world, you're not. You need to really look into it, because it's not what they're telling you it is. So that's kind of how I look at all this with Antifa, with Trump with Black Bloc. I mean, everything, it's all the same. If we're going to be patriotic in America, if we're going to have that right, which we fought for it, right? In the 1776, we fought the kingdom of Europe or whatever.
Of England.
England. When we fought for that, that was because they were taxing us.
Sure.
Nowadays, we're being taxed and being told that we're pieces of shit. And being told we're going to be replaced by other people. And we're still not fighting.
You know, I think what's happening is a lot of people are just, they're in awe. Is this really happening?
Right.
They're like in a daze, okay? And that daze is very dangerous.
Well, wake up, man. It's happening.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's happening. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And if you tell people that it's happening, you're going to be labeled a conspiracy theorist. You're going to be, wear tin hat and so on and so forth and all bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.
But that goes back to they're using the rules of the communists. Remember the whole thing about going after somebody's character. Now, if you came to me and you said, look, man, the statistics are wrong, check it out, this is the real number, I would change my mind in 2 seconds. It wouldn't even take me 2 seconds. I'd be like, yeah, okay, you're right. But notice that they're not pushing statistics. They're just saying he's a racist. These nebulous words that have no meaning, racist, sexist, this, that. Who's not a racist and a sexist in their eyes? You know what I mean? I mean, if you say one wrong, Mario Lopez, dude, the AC Slater, they were calling him a sexist and racist because he said something about transgender stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to attack no matter what because that's all they have. They have the outrage of, I want to attack you personally. But as far as facts go, there's no facts that they pull out ever, at all.
Yeah. What do you think is the longevity of this hate? Is it going to get worse?
It depends. I say it's going to get worse if people don't start doing things about it. If there's not some huge reform, and I mean by, number one, we need to actually, do you remember what Rudy Giuliani did for New York?
Sure.
We need to do that for the United States. For the worst crime infested areas, that's what we need to do. And here's why. It has a chilling effect on the rest of the country. If you go to, if Trump said, you know what, I'm sending the National Guard to Chicago today, guess what's going to happen in Detroit? They're going to chill their asses out because they're not going to want to have, you see what I'm saying? And it's going to do at Houston, Los Angeles, wherever it is that they're going to chill out too. And it'll have a chilling effect, but he hasn't done that. And a lot of people tell me oh, you follow Trump, but I disagree with a lot of shit Trump does. I'm not Mr. Trump. I love him. I'm not he sucks Israel's dick way too much. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that on the show, but he is pro-Israel, but what's up with America? You don't have a wall, but you have so that kind of pisses me off, but I know it's because of Kushner. I've already asked, and it's Kushner pushing all these Israeli things, which is cool. I mean, that's his country. But we don't have a wall yet. It's been 4 years, there's no wall. He got ASAP Rocky, right, out, but he still hasn't pardoned Assange. Assange won the election for him, essentially.
Sure.
That pisses me off. He hasn't talked about the Seth Rich thing. That pisses me off. There's a lot of things that I see that he's doing wrong. But yelling to the air is not going to help. So that's kind of why I want to get the message out. And I do have people who work closely that have helped, that I've told them, yo, come on, man. With a lot, what I feel I've helped a lot with was the Ted Cruz thing right now with the Google, and he's going after them. I wrote the paper he read before that he went into it. I wrote that one paper that he had. It was a memo. It just talked about how the communist way is to take over media, take over communications, and I just broke it down. Very simple, and he read that, and maybe a month later he started going after Google, Twitter, and now they're in court because of him. I mean, it's a big deal.
Do you think that Facebook and YouTube and Twitter are suppressing or censoring conservatives?
Yeah, big time. I know they are. They took down my channel. They gave me a strike because I had posted. Remember when Parkland happened, another shooting, and that David Hogg kid came out? One of the first things I noticed was the videos were very, very wrong. He said that he had ridden his bike over there and got his camera, but then he also said he was in school already when it started happening. Do you remember that? So I posted that video. I didn't say he was wrong or right. I just said, look at the video, and they struck me for that. That's YouTube. So, and they struck it for bullying. That's what?
You see, that's a word. Those are the words that I heard yesterday. When they were reporting on El Paso,
Mm-hmm.
they said he was bullied. He came from a single, without a father,
Okay.
single mother house, and most shooters come from a single mother house where the father's not present.
Okay.
And I said, that's the twist they're gonna start. And
So
then-
blacks must all be shooters.
Right. So all of a sudden, it comes out with gun control, gun violence, gun control, gun violence.
Mhm.
He was bullied, gun control, gun violence, and that's the words that kept popping out.
Right.
So that's the lingo, that's the jargon that's gonna be used.
Right. Buzzwords. Correct.
And that's what's gonna, that, you heard it with Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Okay?
They're all blaming Trump.
So, regardless of the Trump or whatever, and we can take it back to the actual incident.
Right.
There's a video of, it looks like if there's under a seat
Yeah.
or something in a restaurant with a
With
bunch
the
of trumps
sounds,
and stuff,
yeah.
the sounds. And they're saying it's a fully automatic weapon, but if you know anything about shooting, that sounds like a semi.
Yeah.
That's a semi.
Right.
Um,
I mean, it also sounds like I think it was a 5.5.
what raises a flag on the shooting of El Paso yesterday?
Number one, the biggest red flag I feel was the manifesto, and I'll tell you why. I watch a lot of crime dramas and I've done it since I was young, right? So I've Dragnet back in the day,
Sure.
and then never ever, and I watch First 48 a lot, so that's one of the ones that's like a reality kind of thing. Never ever is a crime neatly packaged for them, ever. They always have to go and look who it was, why he did it. They have to get their phone and like do. Never the same day, within hours. It always takes days for them to figure out what happened, how it happened, why it happened. But for some reason, whenever it comes to political mass shootings, as they call them, you have a manifesto, you have a training right before. There's always a training that you got to look out for that. The biggest thing is the training. And then look at what the media pushes right afterwards. And I'll tell you why also. When Eric Garner or somebody else dies, they always have a narrative. There's always well, we need to do this. This is going to be the reaction. This is going to be our reaction. For whatever reason, I feel that if there's a manifesto, if there's an AK or one of those basically if they're using the gun that they want to take away, and if they have the training beforehand, that's a big red flag. Those are the signs that it might be something else.
I fully agree
Right.
with what you're saying. When there's a training session, you're almost sure that something's going to happen in a very short period of time.
Or here's what I think is going on, and I'll break it down for you. I think that they're using that as a cover in case something goes wrong. Well, we were just doing a training exercise. You know what I mean? If something doesn't go exactly the way you want, okay, well, we were just doing a training and it went out of hand. That's their like backup, so that they can say, look, days ago we posted we were gonna have a training. You know, that's what it feels like to me, for sure.
Because there was a training in Parkland,
Yeah.
and people say no. There was a training there. There was a training here.
9/11 was a training.
So so there's a lot of those red flags occur.
Right.
The one that gets me the most, besides the manifesto, is how the witnesses say different
one shooter.
things.
Yeah.
There was more than one shooter. We're wearing black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The weapon that they're trying to ban now, which is the AK-47,
Right.
was properly inside as he was walking in. But then when you look at the way he's dressed, and then you look at the subject that was being handcuffed, because he was neatly handcuffed, he was not beaten up, because usually what happens is it's very simple to see. He was being cooperative.
Correct.
Okay, this is a person that went in there to kill people,
Yeah.
and he's being cooperative with the police.
Right. Right.
Okay? So he changed clothes somewhere along the line. I don't know if you saw that. You have a picture of him with
Yeah, the cargo pants.
cargo pants.
And then he doesn't have.
Yeah,
Yes,
doesn't
these
have
kind of pants.
right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was laughing because in one of the posts somebody said it's because he changed and now 13 in Walmart.
Right. I get you.
But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so what happens is there's all those little red flags.
Right.
The one in Daytona is kind of obscure because it happened at night.
And from what I have a friend who lives close there, and he said there's always shootings there. He's like, dude, it's like Chicago. It's not that big. He even said, he goes, it just sounds like a regular Saturday night in Daytona. Now, I'm thinking maybe some more people died, But even looking at the numbers, how many died? 9 or something like that, right? Okay, Chicago had 23 last weekend. Why aren't we having vigils for Chicago every freaking weekend? Why? What's the difference? I mean, really, because they're black? I want to know what the difference is, because I feel like it's more of a tragedy in Chicago because they've been under Democrat rule for 40, 50 years, and how has nobody seen the correlation between shitty cities run by Democrats and, you know what I mean? Like, they just keep voting in these people. So I think it's worse and shittier to have murders every week, murders every weekend, than just one mass shooting. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know. I feel like the deep state, and that's an overused term, but I mean, that's what it is. It's the unelected bureaucratic people. They're in there doing their thing without election. They don't have any. The seventh floor group, that's a big one that I look into all the time. I foiled them, and they were like, we don't know anything about that. So I feel like it's the deep state that's saying, okay, it's right before election time, because at this point they're already in 2020 mode. So right now is the time that they're going to start ramping up the gun stuff. If Trump goes and says we need to do a little more on regulations for guns, he's going to lose so many votes, man. And then maybe that's their point. Maybe that's what they want. They're going to do anything to gain power, and including kill. They'll do anything to gain power over us.
Well, they've already done. If it's true about the deep state, let's say it's not, and it's just a fantasy. But if it's true, they've already killed.
Absolutely.
Many.
Oh.
And they don't care about it.
No.
You know, they just, they demonstrated it and so on and so forth, time after time.
Right.
That's why these red flags go on.
Correct.
We haven't seen the victim actors come out. Okay. Yes. They haven't come out as of yet. So they got us on that one because half the other ones you saw the same actor over and over and over. They were killing them. I think one lady was killed like 4 times in 4 different areas.
The crisis actor thing, I've looked into it. Not as much as I should have, so I don't know many. I saw one once that looked like the mom of Heather Heyer and also like the mom of someone else, and it looked a lot like her. I mean, I always, being the devil's advocate, I'd be like, well, don't they have enough money to buy new actors or, whatever? But then I saw that guy, when his daughter died, he was laughing. I think it was the Sandy Hook guy. Yeah, I mean, if they've been using the same actor, they're really stupid, right? But at the same time, how many people can sell their soul the way? So maybe they have just very limited amount of people to do these things. I don't know. What I do know is they will do whatever it takes, and including murdering kids, to get their message across. Because the one thing politicians never go out and say on TV is, we need to look into pharmaceutical companies. They never say that, not once. Maybe Trump has. I remember him talking about that, but Obama never said anything about Zoloft or whatever, those medicines. And here's the thing. My wife, that's a counselor, she studied all that stuff, and she told me the number one suicidal tendency whenever you're on meds is getting off of them. So like if you're on them for a week, right, and your body gets used, and then you just stop cold turkey, your serotonin levels drop so low that everything's like, oh, I'm going to kill myself, I want to die, and you get depressed. And well, we need to start looking at, was this guy given meds and then did he just not take them correctly? And maybe that's what they keep on looking for. It's online, they're getting radicalized, or it's Facebook, or it's freaking the news is making them radical. No, man, it's not the guns. It's not because people in the 50s would take guns to school. I mean, it was just a normal thing. It's really what's changed, the meds. That's what's changed. The pharmaceutical companies, the meds, they're just prescribing pills like freaking candy, and then they wonder why these kids are acting crazy. And it's like, well, dude, you're gonna pop them up with a bunch of meds because you want to make money. Pharmaceutical companies want to make money, and they've already proven that they're super like just corrupt, scam. They'll do whatever. They'll fake studies. They don't care. So you get that, and you add teenagers that are already volatile, 20, 30-year-olds that you're dealing with a lot of stuff, and then you put them on some kind of med that's gonna drop their serotonin levels to the floor. What are you going to expect? They're going to want to shoot everybody. I mean, they're going to want to do something, they're just, so we need to look into that a lot more. Like, the pharmaceuticals is the big thing, I think.
Do you believe they're controlling them that way? Because at one particular time, I read and it said this killer was by this psychiatrist, and this psychiatrist worked for the FBI,
Right.
and this FBI,
Lanza,
and,
all those guys.
you know what I'm saying? And they said, well, who knows? But it's a conspiracy. And when I posted it out there, everybody said, oh, wear your tin hat.
No, yeah.
No, yeah, the tin hat, yeah, se acabó. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, do you actually think, because remember, the federal government has all the student records.
Right.
And if you have little Billy that's 13 years old and he's already ADHD and he's having way too many problems, and all of a sudden they're popping pills into him, the counselor's already monitoring him. And if you have somebody that's can say, you know what, this is target A, a potential whatever you want to do it.
Yeah.
They're gonna guide them that way.
Right.
That's a thought.
Right.
How many people think that that's happening, or do you agree that can happen?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that the MK Ultra program ever stopped. I don't think that they would have spent that much money and then just said, we're gonna scrap all of it. So they must have kept something. Another thing was
Elaborate on that.
okay. So MK Ultra in the 70s, or actually in the 60s, they started this I guess it's called mind control ultra is what it was for. What they were trying to do was they were experimenting with people's brains to see if they could actually make a Manchurian candidate. That was their goal. Supposedly, that's what they said. A super soldier, somebody they could control with like trigger words and stuff. So they started all these different experiments. They started human experiments with kids, just a bunch of different stuff. Like a side note of that would be like Gifted and Talented in the 80s. Those programs, those were part of that. But that's just something that I've read about afterwards. But the MK Ultra program, a congressman by the name of Frank Church, the Church Committee in the 70s, he decided that he wanted to investigate what they were doing. And he got all the papers. Before the deep state would just shred it, he got all the papers and he looked at it and he was like, yo, this is like they're just doing really messed up experiments. So he told him, you need to stop. Like, just no more MK Ultra, it's unconstitutional. I don't think the CIA and FBI are gonna listen. They don't listen to freaking the president. Why would they listen to a congressman? Then, if you notice, all the right after they stopped MK Ultra, all the psych wards started to let out all the people. Like Reagan just closed them, whatever. I don't care about people in psychotic. Okay. But a lot of those hospitals today, and this is stuff that I've looked into, still run. They still have floors that are running. There's one in DC that's actually abandoned, that some guy went and like started looking at the different floors. Now the first floor was like water, just gross, all torn up. He went up one floor and it was like a brand new hospital. So they're running off-grid, black sites kind of deal, and they're still doing stuff. Now, what are they doing? I don't know. Who the hell knows? I don't know what they're doing, but they have these facilities available to them that aren't on the books. Nobody knows they even exist. So could they get a guy awake for a week in there and do some crazy stuff to him and let him back out? Why not? I mean, they have all the money and nobody's watching them. Nobody has accountability in that situation. So why wouldn't they? I believe that it's possible. Absolutely. Do you remember that one guy that shot up like the naval station?
Sure.
Remember he had on his gun, he put ELF weapon, like ELF weapon or whatever, and people were like electronic whatever like frequency. So they looked into it and there were patents for that kind of weapon. So it was like, are they messing with his head and telling him to shoot people? Because again, they might be seeing if it works, and then it works and they're like, oh shit, like, or it was a success, it worked. Who knows? I don't know. I don't see them as good people, so why wouldn't they do those things? For sure. Why wouldn't they?
What gets me with the guy from the shooter, El Paso shooter, I'm not going to even mention his name because it's not even important. The shooter, he drove from Dallas to El Paso to commit that.
I used to work in Allen, man.
I had great students in Allen. It's a nice little town. And now it's all part of the Metroplex.
Right.
But when you see this is, who's going to drive 50 miles to El Paso to commit a crime?
Right.
Well,
unless you're driving to meet up with your Antifa buddies, which they were going to be in El Paso.
Number one.
Right.
And then the second note is how many Walmarts are there in Dallas in the Metroplex?
Oh.
True. You know what I'm saying?
Have you been to Dallas? There's so many more Mexicans in Dallas.
You know what,
you
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when he went to El Paso to kill Mexicans because of Mexicans, apparently Dallas is.
Why didn't he go to Juarez? They're all Mexicans.
You know what I'm saying?
Juarez.
But so
It's
you're
free.
like in a Walmart. Why that one? Understand?
Right. I honestly, I feel as though these are all just little setups, and they aren't going to make it so obvious that we're going to be like, oh, it's a false flag. But at the same time, they are going to. I know that they've dropped disinfo. Whistleblowers have told me there's certain things we drop as disinformation so that people can run around and chase their tails. That's what we do. That's what we want you to do. And then I see right now whether people are like, is this his face or is this his face? Hold on, let me see. It doesn't matter. Look at look at the effect of what happened, not the cause and whatever. What happened? They all want your guns. That's what you got to be looking at. That's what you got to be fighting. Not whether. Let's just bring it up. Let's say he is an MK Ultra candidate. We find out somebody gets his medical records and sees it. The government gave him drugs. Who's gonna hold him accountable? They still haven't been held accountable for JFK. Why are you? Who cares, man? Like, even if he is, and even if MK Ultra is like all over the world, it doesn't matter because nobody's gonna hold him accountable. Even if you can prove it, I've been able to prove certain things without a reasonable doubt, I think, and there's nobody to hold people accountable. So who cares? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if you're not gonna fight the system here, and you're just gonna play around with conspiracies over here, you're never. That's what they want. You're never gonna be able to beat them. I would rather have people looking into who's pushing the anti-Second Amendment stuff, and why. Because here's the thing: I'm not like, oh, I want my guns, but let's be honest here. I live in a really bad neighborhood, really bad neighborhood. If one of my friends that was getting robbed or wanted a gun, you think he'd go to a gun store? You think he's gonna go get a background check? Dude.
Well, talking about guns.
Yeah.
We have great gun laws. Okay, I have a concealed handgun, and you have great gun laws right now. The problem is it's not the gun. Evil is evil.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop evil.
No.
Period.
Right.
Okay, and the only way you're going to stop evil is when good men get off their ass and start doing something. There's a quote: "Evil strives when good men do nothing."
Right.
So when good men start standing up, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Okay, people need to understand that. What I want to see is that mall. Does it have? You cannot carry.
Yeah.
Walmart? No, not Walmart or because the Walmart here.
It says
No, it doesn't.
It
You
doesn't.
can't. You can.
You can carry
You
a
can,
gun.
you can
here?
carry. You can carry lawfully. You can carry a gun. So
Are you
that
sure?
means concealed. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't seen it last time, but yeah, you can.
Okay.
It does say I think you can't carry openly here in Texas.
Okay.
So I just want to find out if that mall says you can or you cannot carry.
Okay.
That's a big question mark. Because when you look at that Walmart, and you look in Texas, there had to be others in there that have a concealed handgun.
There was one guy that said
Okay.
he used his concealed, but I think he was like on the other side of the store. And then I remember seeing like somebody come out and say he was an ex-army dude, a black guy, a tall black guy. He's like, yeah, I was there. I had a gun on me, but the guy was on the other side, so I just got all the kids out. So I don't know. I mean,
And you have to understand it. And I saw it yesterday with all the posts, and we have way too many friends that do martial arts and everything else. If I was there, I would jump up and I would have done it. No, listen. The majority of males out there, I'm not going to call them men. I'm going to put men in a different thing. There's a whole lot of males out there. That means you have testicles.
right.
Okay? And when you get into trouble,
Scientifically,
when you get into trouble, those testicles shrink.
Right.
A lot of those guys shrink.
Right.
They can be training days.
Even cops.
I mean,
Some
all of a
have
sudden,
it in
it's going to shrink,
Yeah.
and it's going to, you're going to understand real quick. So, and I've heard a lot, well, you run towards fire, this and this and this. No, what happens is, I don't care if it was a Trump supporter, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Muslim, communist, Martian invader.
Right.
As soon as the gunfires go off, that person became your enemy.
Yeah. That's it.
You have to take care of business now, if that's what you train for.
Right.
If that is what you've been training for all your life.
Right.
If not, get the hell out. Go
Yeah.
do something
Right.
else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll accept it if the yoga instructor ran off. I'll accept it if you've got kids and start moving out, get them to safety. But that person becomes your enemy right there, right now. If you train to fight, and if you were a veteran and you were trained to fight,
Mm-hmm.
then by God, you better stand up and fight.
Right.
Okay? And I guarantee you there were veterans there.
Mm.
There was that black man that came out with the kids, but what happened? You understand what I'm saying? There's a whole slew there of there's a lot of stuff that occurred right then, real quick, that was controlled situation.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was not allowed to go any further.
Right.
We talked about the capacity of
Mm-hmm.
the rounds.
Right.
Okay.
The math didn't add up.
The math didn't add up. What did you find?
Well, a lot of people were sending me messages and saying, do you know how many rounds it held, the magazine? And I kept saying, I don't know. But then I went and I read, and in one of the articles it said there he was holding a, 20 round clip.
Okay.
And that's all they found on it. That's what it said. And I know about how heavy they can get. So you're going to have at least cargo pants or something to hold them. So in the first picture where he's running in with a gun, real staged, real nice, there's the cargo pants. But then in the rest photo, there's no cargo pants. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Then I did the math on the shots, right? Because it said there, I think it was like 24 injured, 20 killed. He couldn't have been accurate 100% of the time, so you got to add a few here and there that went off and didn't hit anything. That's way more than 20 rounds. Like, that's just not, it's more than 20 rounds, big time. Like, it's double what they say. So either they made a mistake in the reporting, which could have happened, or they're lying and somebody else was shooting. Eyewitnesses, they say don't listen to eyewitness testimony. Everybody says that. But I know a guy in black with a gun and a guy in white in a gun, or red or whatever. You get what I'm saying? I know a guy with a hoodie and without a hoodie. So if somebody came and asked me, I'd say, yeah, he was wearing jeans, and I wouldn't say he was wearing all black, and he was trying to. That's just so people. The witnesses that saw that, who was that? Who were those people? Were they Antifas that got away? Well, who were they? You know what I mean? So, and also, again, going back to that whole thing with the bullets and the guns and all that. Antifa carries, right? They're people that carry weapons, and they dress in all black. So the first thing I thought was, oh, Antifa. That's who it was. I'm not saying it was them. I don't know. I don't have proof. But I can't say that it's so neatly packaged, and his Twitter was only a couple months old, and his Facebook was very vague. And when it's all very like, here you go, cop. This is who I am. This is what I love to do in life. These are my hobbies. Here you go. Here's a little gift. I mean, it's the same thing with the MAGA bomber. Remember that guy? Come on, dude. Come on. It was just like, whoa. Cesar or whatever his name was. That one too. It made me think, what are they trying to do? Like, do they really think people are that stupid? Because the guy had plastered of Trump all over, and he came out in the rallies, and that's fine. But the same the same postal office that he was using, that's the same one that was in Broward County that the Parkland guy was there, or something. Like, it was just some weird connection. It was just like, and then Broward County, it's owned by freaking corrupt of the corrupt, you know. So it's all very bad. It's all very sneaky. You know what I mean? It feels very sneaky, very, very on the down low with what they're doing.
What gets me is that you have a nerd. Okay, I'm not trying to say that there's nerds. You know, you have people in the army and so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
you got somebody that was not trained for that.
Right.
Go in there and was able to injure so many people and kill so many in a very accurate form. And you see that over and over and over.
Where's the video?
Understand what I'm saying? There's no video, but they do have them entering very nicely. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but do you know that Walmart has video all over?
All over the place.
Where's the video?
Where's the video? So what happened? What I'm getting at
Mm-hmm.
is that you have these pansies that all of a sudden become a Navy SEAL when they go and shoot up a place.
Yeah.
And they're accurate. Okay.
Yeah.
And they come out and they're not dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're not beat up. They look like if they're in some trance.
Right.
And they keep them in that trance.
Yeah.
Either they end up suicide in jail,
Mm-hmm.
or when you talk to them, they're kind of like,
Yeah.
understand? They kind of like sound like Mueller was in
Yeah.
Congress.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying? So something has to be done, or something is being done
Right.
to these witnesses, that they're being in a drug state
Right.
once they get caught. To me, is it a red flag? Is it my opinion? I'm like 80% it is.
Yeah.
How about you?
What I think is it's FBI. That's what it is. 'It's a false flag done by the FBI, and I'll tell you why. I've been researching. I've researched all these terror attacks since the 80s, and every time there's a terror attack, there always is an FBI handler involved. Ever since the '93, well, even in '93 World Trade Center, where in court it came out that the guy was getting weapons from the FBI. That's '93. 2001, well, they died, so we don't know. But they were saying that they had FBI handlers in Florida, in the apartments in Florida, that they were working with the FBI there, with the feds. Then you go to Oklahoma City, and you find out that was a whole, there was more than one. And so you find all these terror attacks, Waco. Waco actually was a legit thing where they attacked. But besides that, I mean, you start looking at all these terror attacks, and then you go back even closer to the time that we're at now, where you go to Parkland, or the Orlando shooting, or what was it, San Bernardino, right? They're all neatly packaged, and there's always problem, reaction, solution. That's the formula they use. Problem, reaction, solution. So the problem with El Paso, or the problem, and if you notice, the FBI always gets their funding, and we already know that they're posting on these 8chan, 4chan, all those other places, right? They outed themselves in that court document, and they're pushing the Russia narrative. So you got to think, who are they really working for? Because they're not working for Americans. They're not. It almost feels like they want to stay relevant and want to keep the danger out there by making their own danger and terror. Does that make sense? Do you remember, and this kind of got memory hold, but do you remember a while back, there was a bomb that went off in New York City, right in the middle of Times Square, in a car bomb? It was on the news for like 2 days, and then they just scrubbed it. That was supposed to be, and this is what I've been told by NYPD, that was supposed to be a bigger bomb that didn't go off, but it was supposed to kill like 80, 90 people in that area. So, I mean, and then it turns out that guy also was FBI handler or whatever. So the FBI are using the excuse, the Plano, I think it was the Plano Islam, the attack. That guy was being coached by a FBI also. Then he shot him up, and the FBI were watching him shoot them up.
That was in Garland?
Garland, my bad. Yeah, Plano, Garland, yeah. So what I feel that's happening is that the FBI has gone rogue. They've just gone rogue. They don't work for anybody but themselves at this point. They want to just keep their funding, blackmail, do whatever they want to do. So does the CIA, I feel. And everybody that says that there's only few bad apples, I feel like they've all gone rogue, or at least they know that it's gone rogue, and they just want to keep their checks.
This is the way I look at it, because in law enforcement, okay, we cannot say all badges are bad. You have excellent agents, you have excellent badges that are out there, and they're working, and they're giving their hard-earned blood and sweat for Americans. It's the brass.
Right.
The brass is where I think they've lost it. Somewhere along the line, all that ass-kissing left them brain dead to just become an egoistic, greedy individual.
Become
a power monger, if you want to put it
share
that
of
way.
Israel.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But
essentially.
But you see, that's what's happening. And that's what's happening with all these. And you see it in local law enforcement agencies. You see it in small town, deputies. The way that the way they treat you, they can't get them out because that's the only one that's there.
Yeah.
People have to just bow down to them. So they've gone into this ego trance.
Right.
A lot of those directors get paid a lot more money. They get paid a good chunk of change.
Comey was getting almost $1 million a year.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you start looking at some of these individuals, they get paid more than the president.
Oh yeah.
They've been there for 2-3 presidents.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some of these directors have been there a lot longer.
Oh yeah. They need term limits on everything.
You know what I'm saying? So they really have to root plow the whole government. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Right.
And they understand that having Trump in there, he's the only man that can really actually do that, if he wants to do that.
I don't understand why he's not. I don't know if it's because he's getting I know he's getting bad advice from people. I know Kellyanne doesn't help him much. That's something I've learned. And I know that the people that are surrounding him are kind of just not patriots. They're kind of just Washington people, And so if he had the hiring skills that I thought he had, he would have gotten rid of all those people and gotten better advisors. Why would he hire John Bolton? Even before John Bolton was who he is now, I knew he was a warmonger. I mean, people talked about him as, the guy that wants war with everybody. And he hired him. And that guy's a big neocon, you know what I mean? Like, huge. So it's almost like if Trump had the power that everybody thinks he does, all this stuff would have been changed. But it's almost like there's like valves, and he has to like, if he undoes one, this one gets covered, or you know what I mean? And that's the deep state. It feels like an octopus where you undo one and three others come out, and it's just like he's getting bombarded with from all these different angles, and at the same time, anything he does is attacked, even if it's good, like straight up everything. So that, and then he lives in Washington, so all he's getting is these recruits of people from different jobs, but they're all from Washington. I feel like I said, the FBI from day one, the FBI was supposed to be Federal Bureau of Investigations. Now they've become some kind of political arm of the Democrats, I feel. Not all of them, obviously, not every single FBI agent in every city, but the ones that matter, the big time guys, like you said, Comey or whoever, those guys have to play ball or they're not going to get that position, I feel like. And Trump, in his wisdom, put McCabe in there, you know what I mean? And then now we have Ray or whatever. So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like he needs to make better decisions. I feel like he needs to not listen to the people as much as he is, the people around him, and just do what he thinks is right. I feel like that's kind of what he needs to do. I don't know why he's not doing it yet. I don't know why he hasn't wrangled all these, like you said, just wrangle them all in. This is what I'll do. I'll make a memorandum and say, all of you need to reapply from the beginning. I don't give a fuck who you are. You could be the GS11, GS13. Everybody reapplies, and there's going to be an independent hiring spot in Nebraska. That's where you're going to get hired from, not in Washington. Fuck you. You're gonna go and apply in Nebraska where you don't know anybody, and then once we vet you and look at all your background, then you see we have a job or not. That's all he needs to do, man. He could do that today. I mean, it'll take forever to rehire everybody, but that's gonna get it started. I mean, he could have done that day one. Voter ID, same. He hasn't done anything with that. What the hell? Nobody can debate me on voter ID and say that it's a wrong thing to do. What? Like, I know people that are in India, live on $1 a day, but have a voter ID. So there's certain things that he needs to start doing that he hasn't, or he's going to lose the next election. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening.
It's the next election is a crucial one.
Oh yeah.
It's a crucial one for the whole United States.
Oh, it's a fight for America.
And
Straight
it's
up.
plain simple. And is it going to? Many folks in this agree that it's going to get a lot more violent.
Yeah.
We're seeing it right now.
Right. We're in civil war. We just don't know it, and it's an information war. It's not a war.
Well, the first shots were towards Republicans were given at that baseball. Those were the first shots.
Right.
So a civil war is on.
Yeah.
The problem is that
Slow.
people have not realized that we're in a civil war.
Right. And I, just from the 2016 election,
Mm-hmm.
I learned that it's all information warfare, all of it.
Sure.
And Hillary hired an actual firm to like talk good, to speak well about her during the election. I don't know if you could correct the record. Was her name? She paid $1 billion or something crazy like that to get elected. And so I saw how they were. It's not that they want to control everybody. They can't. There's no way. But they want to control consensus. They want to be able to say, we control the popular word of the day or whatever. So that anybody who says, no, you know what, you guys are wrong, they'll just delete you out of the conversation. They wanted that, and they wanted to show that, like if you go to Trump's Twitter, all you see is bad comments, right, on the bottom. But if I'm not logged in, all I see is shitty comments. But if I do log in, all I see is good comments from people that I know or whatever. So if somebody from Venezuela goes and sees Trump's thing and they don't have a Twitter account, they're just going to see bad, and they're going to think, well, everybody probably hates him in America. And that's what they want. That's their whole MO. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to control the narrative of Trump is bad, anything to do with America and freedom and just having a right to exist is bad. White people are bad. I don't know. I mean, it's the narrative they keep pushing it's so transparent almost at this point, where you're just like okay, I get it, we're bad, everybody's bad, like, you know. They want to make it seem like it's popular to hate Trump, and it might be, but it was popular to hate Bush also. I remember people hated Bush, and they would make fun of him all the time and how he was stupid. But you can't be that stupid and get into that position. Like, you just can't, you know.
Right.
So it was fake news about him, fake news about. So basically, anytime a Republican gets into office, the media apparatus goes into overtime with attack, make it a joke, make them a piece of crap, make them a racist or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's basically that's how it's happening, and I feel like a lot of people have told me that Trump is loyal, he's super loyal, but he might be, but he hasn't done anything about Alex Jones. That guy was his number one, the reason why he got like put in the office. So Alex Jones, Milo, Gavin McInnes. I mean, there's so many people that have been banned that were a huge voice for Trump in 2016 that don't have a voice anymore, and he hasn't done anything. And I feel like if he's not more loyal to those people, he's going to lose 2020, and it's his fault. It's going to be his fault. I mean, this is like a warning shot because he needs to like wake up, tell Twitter, put their accounts back today, not in a week, today. Alex Jones, everybody, until you go to take him to court for what you think he did wrong, you can't take him off the thing. Put him back, and you can't restrict him either. And if you do, it's going to be fines. You can do things like that as a president. I'm sorry, but you can do it. You have lawyers, they can do that stuff. So I don't know why he's not doing these things. Because I'm telling you, man, it's going to be close, and he might lose if he doesn't do if he doesn't have the same following online that he did, like with Alex Jones. You know how Alex Jones was going on every night almost and talking about what was going on in the rallies? The wrestling crowd is the Alex Jones crowd, I see, right?
Sure.
They're both pretty much the same crowd. Those people have nobody. They're in limbo. They have QAnon or something. But I mean, they don't have anybody that's they're listening to on a daily and says, oh, this is the right. So if Trump doesn't get more loyal with those types of people and say, enough's enough, you're going to be, whatever, banned. You're not going to be banned anymore. Like, we're just going to reinstate the accounts that were good for me or whatever. Before this election, it's not going to look good. It's not. And I'm scared because I don't want Kamala Harris as president, you know what I mean? And that's basically the two choices we're going to have, her or him. I feel like she's going to be the candidate, by the way.
You think she's going to be the candidate?
And Cory Booker's going to be her VP.
I heard that Michelle Obama was going to run. You think so?
No, I know she won't. She won't. Promise. If I'll eat my shorts if she does, but she won't. There's no way. She can't deal with the Oppo research alone on her. I mean, let's be honest here. Just the opposition research that they're going to do on her from her past or whatever it is going to be enough to not have her win. Yeah. But then again, if she ran, she'd have the media behind her, the social media behind her, all the internet, the Google behind her. I mean, she'd have an army behind her if she did run. But I can't see her running, man. I can't. I mean, it's a nice pipe dream. But I can see Hillary running again, though.
Mm.
Because I know Hillary. I've studied Hillary. I know what she's thinking right now. She's like, I can beat every one of those motherfuckers on stage. They're nothing compared to me. And she knows she got very close last time. So I can see her running again. I don't know if she would or not, but I mean, theoretically, if you told me put your money on one or the other, I'd put it on Hillary to run, not Obama, not Michelle Obama. But we'll see. We'll see
what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting year.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And folks, you guys, with the mass shooting, especially here in Texas, if you can conceal carry, start carrying.
Oh, to yesterday.
And start carrying and start training. And because it's no good if you're not going to be training.
Be prepared. Also, situational awareness is key. If they look fishy or if they look weird, they're probably weird.
You know what gets me is that we both talked about a false flag shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you have a FBI and police training session.
Right.
We just had one right here in Laredo.
Did you?
And LISD.
Huh.
Laredo Independent School District just had a school shooting training session. Okay. And with everything going on, I just kind of like, God bless America. God bless Laredo. God bless everybody else, and keep an eye on things that are going to be occurring.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's just me. Hopefully, not going to work, right?
Right.
Because we don't want any more school shootings. Period.
No, absolutely.
But and if the FBI is behind this or the government's behind it, whichever way, You know, there's a lot of many good sicknesses out there that are called karma that God can unleash on you guys.
You know,
And I hope He does.
I just hope that people are getting exposed. I mean, honestly,
Sure.
at this point, nobody's holding anybody accountable, so it doesn't really feel like much is happening. But there is stuff going on in the background. And everybody asks me a lot of times, why does it feel so obvious whenever they do this? Why is it looks so obvious? It's because that's a power move. They're literally pulling a power move on us by saying, I can ban you anytime I want. What are you going to do? Take me to court? I have 30 billion, you're going to charge me 5 billion? Okay, here you go. It's a power move, man. I mean, I've been in business before. I know what power moves are. That's a power move. Pelosi saying that she wants Trump impeached or banned or whatever it is, those are all power moves, man. Those are all small power moves. And Trump does them too. But I feel like just get ready for a crazy ride until somebody knows what's going on with the election, because it's going to be insane. It really is. If you thought 2016 was crazy, just wait. Just wait. I'm making a bold prediction, but yeah, it's going to be...
It already started.
Yeah.
It already started, and it's going to get worse. Folks, you guys be safe. Until next time, peace. Once more.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Yeah.
God bless America.
Yeah. God bless America.
If you've ever wondered, if you ever had a clue what would happen if Batman, the Avengers, the X-Men fought the 47 Ronin, you will have great hitting, power strikes, and speed. This event will be known as the North Texas Stick Fighting Championships. It's open to all martial artists. This is where legends are formed, where they're forged, where they are founded. Sign up now. Call the number 956-401-4868 and look up the website at www.savate.biz. So remember, this is for serious martial artists. If you're not serious, sit back and whisper about the event. If not, we'll see you there. Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.